Well, welcome back to day 2 of 10.1.1. Yesterday we were working on some information on how to measure the length of the classroom using a ruler and a long tape measure, and to see which one was more accurate in its measurements. So, wow, something's not right here on my glasses. There we go. Okay, so today what we're going to do is actually analyze that data. So let me bring up my screen here that I want to share. It'll look like this. Okay, and this is our day 2. All right, so yesterday we got this data from the tape measure and the 12-inch ruler. We actually went further back. We were way back here and we were looking at the medians, the quartiles, the lower and upper extremes, the lower upper extremes. We took all that data. We used the extremes to find the range. And then in here, we answered some questions about the quartiles and the medians and that the upper and lower extremes for the tape measure data and the ruler data. And then it's summarized right here. Now, we're going to do our quiz for today. So you can go ahead and do that right now. And then pause the video. When it's time to come back to the video, we can do that. Welcome back. The next problem we're going to do, we're going to solve this problem together. Yikes. And we're going to all do half of it. And then students, you can do half of it. So create a visual representation of the data. Creating visual representations of the data makes data sets easier to compare. Part A, make a histogram for each set of data. Make sure that you use the same scale for both histograms. That way we can compare them easily. Make the bins in both graphs the same size. The bins are the number groups across the bottom of the histogram on the x-axis. Remember, in histogram, the bars touch. There's no space between them like a bar graph. There, just what I just said right there. Okay, so we had our data. And if you look at our data here from 330 to 341 for our long tape measure, and our data here for the ruler, we'll actually do the ruler one, and then you can do the tape measure data. I think that's the way I have you doing it. Yeah, so let's have you do, we'll do the ruler histogram together. So as you look at these bins at the bottom here, my bins are in sets of 5 inches, and my first bin that I need to cover starts at 312, so I'm going to be in this group right here from 312 to 315. 315 begins the next bin. So in that first group, I only have this one. So I'm going to come down here, and here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to draw a line right here, and that line represents that one number that is in that bin. 315 to 320 comes next, so that would be 317 and 319. This number is in the next group. So 317 and 319, that would be 2. So I'll put a bar here at 2, and I'll show you how I finish the bars later. Then I need 320 to 25. So that would be 1, 2, 3 numbers. I'll put a 3 bar, go up here to 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go for 325 to 330. That would include 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry, just these two, 328, 329. So I need a 2 bar. And then from 330 to 35 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, because we don't count that one. So I need a 5 bar in here. And then from 335 to 340, 1, 2, 3, I need a 3 bar. And from 340 to 45, 1, 2, 3, 4, I need a 4 bar. Oh, it went back up. And then from 345 to 50, I only need 2 more, just the 2. Now to finish off my histogram bars, I'm just going to draw straight down, straight down, straight down, maybe from the top here. Kind of wonky. Then I'm going to go straight down from the highest level there. That way I cover both the corners. Not as easy to do as I thought. There we go. And this is going to complete our histogram. And as you can see, this histogram is moderately, it's basically symmetric. You have an up and a down, and it has one peak right here. It's kind of spread out pretty far, though. Your job is to pause the video and do the other histogram on 8.5. So I need you to go back here and do this histogram. Okay, well, welcome back to the video here, and let's go ahead and look back at what you should have gotten. So here is the histogram for the tape measure. Now, that one looks a lot different. It's still kind of symmetric. It still has one peak, but the spread of this data is way different from the spread of that data, which might talk about accuracy of the measurement. Okay, so we're going to go on now to problem B, 8.5b. And I'm going to help you out getting the data for both sets of this. And as we type in the data, you'll see that it's going to build a parallel box plot. Well, a parallel box plot is 2 box and whiskers or 2 box plots on the same number line, and you'll notice that number line matches our bins that we used on the histogram. And this will let us take a look at how the spread of the data looks and how the interquartile range looks for each set of data. So our data for the tape measure, the lower extreme, the lowest number was 330. The first quartile was 336. Let me look back here really quickly here. The median was 337. The upper quartile was 339. And the upper extreme, that was 341. And you'll see we get this nice tape measure data right here. This is our box plot for the tape measure. Not very much spread there, and 50% of your data right here in between the quartiles are pretty tightly packed. Interesting. Okay, I need you to go get the ruler data. I'll help you out with the extremes, but I need you to go back to page 11. So pause your video, go back, find the data, fill it in. Let's do that right now. Please pause your video and do the ruler data. Okay, welcome back to the part B here. You should have got 312 for the lower extreme and 346 for the upper extreme. The median was 334 and the lower quartile 324, third quartile, the upper quartile 340 to give us this data for our box plot. You can notice really quickly that there's a much wider spread, just like we saw on the histogram. And the interquartile range is also pretty wide compared to the tape measure. That interquartile range kind of helps us understand the typical answer and where it lies. And the typical answer for the ruler is definitely less accurate than the typical answer for the tape measure. Okay, so in the text box at right, compare the center, shape, spread, and outliers for the two sets of data using histograms and the box plots. Do the data sets seem to show the same value for the length of the classroom? So, as we said before, if you look back at the histograms here, that you'll notice that the shape of the data is symmetric. There's one peak at the center, but the spread of the data is definitely wider on one than the other. So let's try and answer this question. I would say that both sets of data are showing symmetry, period. That's the shape. They both have one peak. Period. The ruler data shows a wider spread of answers compared to the tape measure data. The histograms do not show any outliers, period. Now, if we go back and look at the box plots, and I'll come back to this if you're still typing, you can pause it if you need to. On the box plots, we can see that both of their medians are actually pretty close together. And so that means that's probably relatively accurate number for both of them. But the spread of this data and the interquartile ranges show that the ruler data is definitely less accurate. This number down here for the tape measure might be an outlier, because if you're looking at our tape measure, 75% of our data is between 336 and 341. 75%, that's a lot. That 330 could be an outlier. So we might go back here and say, based on the box plots, comma, I see that the ruler data has a larger spread than the tape measure data. Their medians are relatively close and may represent a good measurement for the length of the classroom. The IQR interquartile range of the ruler data shows that it is less accurate than the tape measure. Finally, comma, the 330-inch measurement on the ruler data, or on the tape measure data, may be an outlier because 75% of the ruler data is between 336 inches and 341 inches. Go ahead and pause your video while you're trying to catch up to that. Make sure you make some sense of what you're reading there. If you don't make sense of it, we haven't learned anything. Now that you've typed and answered this and made some sense of it, I want you to go on now and with your teams at your desk there, please answer questions 8.6 and 8.7. When you finish that, then I would like you to go and work on check your understanding assignment for tonight, your homework, and I hope you have a great day.